Here at Walmart, and we're doing all these videos on things that I think would be useful. I don't have this particular drill here, but I think having a good drill and a good saw that's cordless is kind of critical or useful if you're going to be operating out of your vehicle. So getting a system that has power packs and stuff would make it really useful for you when you're out there actually trying to build your vehicle or do repairs and you're out in the middle of nowhere. So that would be something I would highly recommend getting if you can. Another section that's really worth exploring while you're at Walmart is the camping and survival section. They're starting to carry all sorts of gear for survival and camping, and a lot of this gear is actually very useful for vanners. We are essentially campers, but instead of camping out in the open in a tent, we're camping in a vehicle, which is even better, a lot more luxurious. Now, for those of you who are wanting small systems, this is a single propane burner system, and I had one like this that I gave to another vanner because he didn't have a method of cooking. And I would recommend using something like this if you like cooking over a fire. This one, that's not priced right. I think these are like $20 each or something. I think they may have one up here somewhere. I don't see it here, but typically they're about $20 for one of these burner units. Then you have to buy the propane tanks, which can get expensive, but I think it's a lot cheaper using this, I think, than using my inverter cooking system if you're just sitting there parked and burning gas. Now, my system, how I save money on that is I usually cook while I'm driving anyways, so I'm burning gas anyways. So for me, it's free electricity. You know, I generate 120 volts and use my rice cooker to cook. So for me, I'm getting free energy to cook with. This system, you want to park somewhere and either, have this mounted in your vehicle safely or actually come outside and cook with it, and you would use up propane, which is, I think, cheaper than burning gasoline like I do. But my system has the advantage of being able to cook while I'm driving, so I'm burning gasoline anyways. So my system is actually cheaper, when you look at it that way, because I'm driving anyways and burning gasoline. I'm just getting free electricity to cook while I'm driving. Other useful devices that are here may include light systems, the 12-volt LED systems. They're intended for camping and other gear, but could be mounted inside a vehicle and used as lighting, vehicle lighting. LED is great. It lasts forever. And of course, you got all the tarps here, which can be useful for, I guess, an awning system. Just a lot of gear here at Walmart. I had one of these Coleman chill thingies. These are iceless coolers. They're really not as useful as you would think. They do run off 12 volts, but they take a lot of power, and they don't get really cold. They only go, like here it says, stays up to 40 degrees colder than surrounding temperature. Well, if you're in Florida and the temperature is like 90 degrees, the coolest it's going to get is 50 degrees. The problem is this: if you're in your vehicle and you have the windows shut in Florida, the temperature in the vehicle can get to 180, 200 degrees. That means the temperature inside your cooler will be like 140 degrees. That's not cool at all. Now, if your vehicle is like normal temperature, let's say your vehicle is, you have the windows open and stuff, so it's getting to about 90 degrees, then this cooler will keep food at about 50 to 60 degrees, which still isn't that cold. It is about $100. I sold my unit, I think, for like $25 or something like that. So with getting, if you have the ability to run it all the time, I think the guy who bought it for me had a, a hybrid, one of those Toyota, was it Prius? Is it? Yeah, the Prius. Or Prius. I don't know how you pronounce that. Anyhow, his was an electric vehicle, so he was able to generate electricity to keep that thing running all the time, which would allow him to keep it always cold. But even at any given moment, it's going to not be any more than 40 degrees colder than the surrounding temperature. But if he had the AC in his car would be at about 75 degrees, 65, 75. Then that meant the cooler could drop down to about, 20 to 30 degrees, maybe even 40 degrees. So that would be adequate for him. So if you have an electric vehicle or a really nice battery pack, it may be worth getting, but I don't really recommend it. Section of Walmart that seems to have really cool stuff that may be useful for vanners is the As Seen on TV section that they usually have in Walmart now. And as you can see here, they got this wall outlet space heater, okay? Thing is, I think it plugs into 120 volts instead of direct 12 volts. But it says the temperature is adjustable between 60 to 90 degrees Fahrenheit. So it may actually be useful. It uses 350 watts. So sadly, because it's 120 volts, you'd have to upconvert your power, your 12 volt DC to 120 volt AC, then plug this guy in, and it uses 350 watts. I suspect most battery systems will run out pretty fast unless you got a decent battery bank. But for those of you looking for a small warming solution, this may be usable. I don't know, 350 watts to me is a lot. I know that my rice cooker is about 300 watts, and for me to use the cooking system, I have to run the vehicle so that the house battery can charge while I'm cooking, because it's pulling so much power off. Something that may be useful though is this Flex Seal. It's this gooey black plastic, rubberized plastic rubber. You can pour this on the roof of your vehicle or wherever you're having a leak, and it should seal it. But there's also the cool little devices here that may be useful for a vehicle. This is supposedly a light system, an LED light system that has a small little solar charger. I don't know how long or how well it actually works, but according to this, you can use it to light things up. It could be useful for vehicle lights. Supposedly it has like a little battery inside to hold the energy. I don't know though. I think it might be more of a toy than a real useful device. We'd have to test it to try it out. So if any of you get it and test it, let me know. Me, I'm not planning on getting it. Although I did look at it because those of you who've been following my vlog know that I built that hut out in the middle of the Palm Bay compound. Something like that would be really useful. Multimeters may be useful when you're checking your circuits. Truthfully, I haven't used one. I think I may have one in my van somewhere, but I haven't really used it. But if you can afford it, they got one here for $10. That may be useful. But most of the time, truthfully, in my construction and build, I haven't had to use it, okay? I just basically hook up the cable and see if there's power running through. I don't really test the voltage. And here you can see this is one of the smaller switches. I think this is a switch I had before. It was a 20 amp switch that I installed as part of my switching system for a little Bluetooth house battery system to switch it, on and off to connect it to the vehicle battery. I do not recommend using this. It melted. It was terrible. Okay. Some wiring components or gauge cutters and stuff like that may be useful. This is $5. I don't have one and don't think I'm going to get one. I've mostly been crimping my wiring. Would recommend soldering them if you have the time to do that. I haven't really done it. Now this circuit tester may be useful. All you do is you hook up the two probes and then the light should come on, so it would be really useful for that. Other things that would be useful may be the switch systems as well as the outlets. Even though they're intended for house use, you could conceivably wire them into your van system and have 120 volt outlets right in your van.